It is Read for Palestine week from the 29th to the 4th, so yesterday to the 4th of December, and today I'm giving you 3 books that I recommend to you to read, and the 3 books I'm telling you about that I am going to be reading this Read for Palestine week. As always, all the books, if available, are in the description down below to bookshop.org. Bookshop.org is a company that works to support independent booksellers, which gives them a little bit of a kickback whenever you buy through bookshop.org. Alternatively, see if you can pick up these books from your local library, because supporting your local library is cool as hell. So I'm very quickly going to give you 3 books that you can read this Palestine reading week. They are very popular books and very good books for you to go off and read anyway. I'm going to go through this section slightly faster because I have a whole playlist, which will be in the description down below and somewhere around me, to all the books about Palestine that I have read and all the videos about Palestinian books that I have read, where you can get a much more in-depth understanding of the books there. So I'm just going to give you some 3 quick examples of books you can pick up. First up is The 100 Years' War on Palestine. This book is like a go-to book. You read this book, you get a very good understanding of the history of Palestine and the history of the conflict with the Zionist entity. It goes from, I think the edition I've got is actually up until about last year, or maybe the beginning of this year as well. So it basically is covering 100 years of that, the build up to the settlers coming to and founding the Zionist entity, and the various ways they have oppressed the Palestinian people, whether it be through the wars, whether it be through the open air prisons, whether it be through the terrible Oslo Accords and the Intifadas. So it's very, very in-depth and very well written and actually pretty accessible to get through. Next up is Palestinian Walks by Raja Shahada. This book is basically telling you about how the occupation of the West Bank in particular has so negatively impacted the lives of Palestinians. It's Shahada basically telling you about the walks he used to be able to take as a child and how the occupation and how the illegal settlement of the West Bank has made it so he cannot do something as simple as walking through his homeland. Imagine not being able to walk to the park he used to walk to and through as a child. Imagine because someone has come and said, actually no, you're not allowed to come here, this is my land now, your people aren't allowed here. Do you know how heartbreaking that could be? And that is what Palestinians are going through every single day, even to now, and increasingly so as Israel continues to build these illegal, disgusting settlements. And thirdly, I'm going to say 10 Myths About Israel by Ilan Pappé. Ilan Pappé is a fantastic Israeli historian who is pro-Palestine, and this book is basically debunking myths that Zionists and Israel have put forward to try and justify the state of Israel and justify their treatment of Palestinians. So these are very common myths that Zionists and people who are pro-Israel put forward to try and, make it seem like Palestinians are the bad guys, or try and make it seem like, oh, it is their right, they are allowed to colonize this land, it was only normal for them to colonize this land. And he actually very meticulously goes through these 10 different myths and debunks them. So whenever, you see someone spouting this nonsense, or even someone who's just misinformed and so is saying these things, you can actually inform them better. So those are the 3 books I recommend you read. They're going to be linked in the description down below. Those are the 3 that I highly recommend, especially if you want an intro to understanding Palestine or an intro to understanding fighting for the Palestinian cause. And hey, if you're not interested in what I'm reading and you're going to leave now, thank you for watching, thank you for getting this far. If you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the information I gave you, hey, maybe drop us a like or a subscribe, maybe. And hey, if you are leaving, thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today. And now let's move on to the books I'm going to be reading. First up is The Future of Palestinian Refugees. This book is basically this guy, Michael Dumper, talking about his ideas and thoughts on how the world can help Palestinian refugees, those who have had to flee because of Israeli aggression. This was released in 2007, so I think probably shortly after or just before the 2007 Israel-Gaza war, and basically it's him talking about how the countries of the world can help the Palestinian people and help repatriate them back to Palestine. Palestine Online, I think this is this person's PhD thesis. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure it's a thesis by this author, because I'm going to butcher the name if I say it, and it's about cyber intifada and how you can use the online and the internet. It's 2001, 2005, so it's very early internet, or very early mass proliferation of internet. So it's actually going to be quite interesting to see how this compares to how, obviously, the past year, the internet has become a really big part of the Palestine movement, and how, you know, the good and the bad things about that, and how that's been reflected on in this work. And finally, Witness Palestine by Anna Blatzer. She is a young Jewish American woman who was traveling through the West Bank and the occupied territories, and basically seeing firsthand the horrors that the Israelis inflict on the Palestinians, and how that taught her the lives of Palestinians, taught her, oh my God, this is how poorly the Palestinians are being treated by the Israelis, and what she was never told growing up, and what the media never tells you about what life is like under the illegal occupation of the Israelis. So it'll be very interesting to see kind of her perspective, and kind of how either she's grown, or how she learned, and what she's trying to tell and get out to the world. This was actually published a little while ago. I believe this was 2007, again, the same time as the Michael Dumper book, and this is the updated and revised version, so it's probably initially written a little bit earlier than that, probably around the time of the Second Intifada, most likely. Those are the 3 books about Palestine I'm going to be reading this Read for Palestine week. Let me know in the comment section down below which books you're going to be reading, whether it's any of the ones I have suggested or I'm going to read, or if it's any other books that you are thinking of reading, whether it be poetry, be fiction, non-fiction. Obviously, I'm a little bit more of a non-fiction person when it comes to political issues, but maybe, you know, let me know some fiction books from Palestine or about Palestine that you're going to be reading. It'd be really interesting. Maybe I can pick those up maybe in the new year after I finish reading the 31 books I'm meant to be reading. You want to know more about that? Click somewhere here in the description down below, or at the end of this video, to check out more about the 31 books I'm going to be reading in December. Thank you for watching. As always, links to all the books, if available, is going to be in the description down below for you to get from bookshop.org. Bookshop.org works with small and independent booksellers to get a little bit of a kickback to them whenever you buy through bookshop.org. Alternatively, go to your local library. I love libraries. You should love libraries. And on a less aggressive note, here are my members. Look at them, how lovely are they? They get additional content, they get cool emojis, they get cool little badges. If you're interested in becoming a member, hit that join button. It's £2 a month. Although, you know, if you can't, that's completely cool with me. You liking and watching the video up until this point is fantastic, and that is brilliant of you. You're a lovely, lovely person for doing that. Thank you for watching, and I hope you read a great book today.